We've all experienced this. You meet someone new or someone you sort of recognize. You begin with the basic, hi, hello, then move into the usual questions like, what do you do? Which department are you in? And after a bit of simple chatting, the awkward quiet creeps in. I've been in this situation more times than I can count, not only at work, but in all sorts of social environments. Like talking to a distant relative at a wedding whom I haven't talked to in years, or trying to start a conversation with a complete stranger at a bar. But imagine if you could talk to anyone and never feel stuck again. The truth is, we all deal with some form of social anxiety, which adds to that awkwardness, though everyone handles it differently. And I somehow managed to reach the higher difficulty levels without any help or shortcuts. So, over time, I created my own 3 techniques to talk to anyone and avoid awkwardness as much as possible. At first, I blamed myself for being too quiet, not sure of myself, and maybe just socially clumsy. But like most people, I was completely different around those I felt comfortable with. So I questioned myself, what exactly is happening? How can someone act like 2 totally different people? What I eventually recognized was that even as an introvert, I didn't actually have 2 identities, and confidence wasn't even the real issue. It was simply a lack of skill. I just hadn't learned the craft of casual conversation. And just like mastering any other art, whether it's picking up a new instrument or writing creatively, communicating with people is a skill you can build with consistent practice. So through many attempts and mistakes, and by observing people far better than me, I realized there are only 3 essential things you need to speak to anyone smoothly and never run out of words. And the great news is, you can start using these 3 things right away. Imagine someone saying to you, I went to play golf this weekend. You could say something simple like, oh, that's cool, and then slowly zone out while the silence stretches on. Or you could ask thoughtful follow-up questions like, where do you usually play? Or how long have you been playing? This naturally leads to even more questions, like do you join competitions? Are you part of a club? And you probably don't even care much about golf. But first, this makes you appear genuinely interested in what they're saying, or at least creates that impression. And second, it eliminates uncomfortable pauses and gives you the ability to guide the direction of the conversation. Because when you break it down, a conversation is really just an exchange of questions and answers. And the one asking the majority of the questions usually steers the conversation. But to do this properly, you need to ask meaningful questions, and that's where the second method comes in. The common myth is that to get better at speaking, you have to talk more. But like many paradoxes in life, the real way to improve communication is actually to listen more. That means truly listening and focusing on nothing else. Because it's so easy for our minds to drift and start planning what we will say next instead of hearing what is actually being said. Which leads to random comments completely unrelated to the topic, adding yet another moment to your awkward highlight reel. But when you listen deeply, you can ask better questions and create a smoother, more engaging conversation for everyone. As the famous saying goes, most people don't listen to understand, they listen to respond. Don't be that person, there are already enough of them. The best part is when you discover a shared interest. We instantly connect with people who have similar experiences or hobbies. Sometimes it's obvious, like you both enjoy golf. Other times it's harder to spot, but with a bit of digging and the right questions, you can always find something you both share. And once you uncover that move, the conversation in that direction, and it will start flowing naturally. The reality is, there will be times when the conversation leads nowhere, and there will be moments filled with silence. And when that happens, just learn to be okay with it. At the end of the day, it's only silence, and it always passes. But by practicing these 3 methods most of the time, you will be able to talk to anyone and never run out of words to say.